6 bone-chilling true scary stories that haunted me at 3 a.m., never told until now. As the clock struck 3, the air thickened with dread. Shadows danced across the walls in my dimly lit room, flickering like ghosts of the past. Eerie whispers wrapped around me, chilling my skin and sinking into my bones. This wasn't just another sleepless night, it was an awakening to the spine-tingling horror that lurked just beyond the veil of reality. You'd think it was just a figment of imagination. But the truth? Far creepier than fiction. First, there was that knock. A soft, distant rap, like fingers tapping lightly against an open grave. I dared to look through the curtains, but all I saw was pitch-black darkness. My heart raced. Was anyone out there? What if I wasn't alone? Moments felt like hours as my mind spiraled into wild thoughts. Did the figure lurking in my driveway have wide eyes? Was it waiting patiently for me to open the door? Or was it a mere reflection of my fraying sanity? Then came the shadows. They slipped along the floor, curling around my feet. A chill crept into the room, as though the very air conspired against me. My breath hitched in my throat. I could feel every pulse, every thrum of fear. It wrapped around me like a noose. Each hair on my neck stood on end, and it felt like the walls themselves were closing in. I could almost hear a heartbeat. Was it mine or something more sinister? Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The soft creak of the floorboards pulled me from my thoughts. I spun around like a marionette cut from its strings. There, in the corner of my eye, a dark figure, a tall, gaunt silhouette loomed just at the edge of the hallway. My jaw went dry, and I couldn't look away. It just stood there, unmoving, almost observing me. Was it waiting for me to scream? The clock ticked louder now, echoing the imminent dread thrumming in my veins, until it echoed no more. Silence enveloped the room, leaving only the beating of my heart, a rapid drum that screamed, "Run!" I couldn't find my voice to call for help. Each second felt like an eternity, unbearable and twisted. Fear wrapped around me once again, squeezing tighter. The figure remained frozen, a haunting reminder that some things are better left undiscovered, but my curiosity burned bright, urging me to step closer and uncover the truth. What happened next left me breathless. As I took a step, it vanished, like smoke in the wind. And I was left in that oppressive silence, wondering if I had imagined it all or if something truly evil had come to visit me on this dreadful night. What else could be waiting in the darkness, and would I have the courage to find out? I stood frozen, my heart pounding in my chest. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating, pressing down on my shoulders. Every nerve in my body was alight, screaming at me to flee, but my feet felt glued to the floor. I glanced hesitantly at the doorway, half expecting the shadow to reappear at any moment. Suddenly, the familiar sound of a creaking floorboard broke the silence, but this time it came from deeper within the house, an invitation or a warning. I had lived in this place long enough to know its many sounds, but this one felt foreign, malevolent. It crept down my spine, a cold finger that reminded me of older tales my grandmother told, of restless spirits and wandering souls trapped between worlds. Swallowing hard, I took a cautious step toward the hallway. Each breath trembled as I fought against the urge to run. Maybe it was just my imagination. Maybe the late hour had twisted my reality. I had to be brave. I had to know that I finally crossed the threshold, eyes darting through the inky darkness. I turned on my phone's flashlight, the beam cutting through the blackness like a blade. Dust motes floated in the air, illuminated momentarily, and for a fleeting moment, I felt as if I was peering into the remnants of a forgotten world. Then I noticed a door at the end of the hallway that I could have sworn had been closed just moments ago. My heart raced, curiosity mingling with fear. Was I drawn to it by some unseen force? I took a deep, steadier breath and approached it. The doorknob was cold, intimidating, and I hesitated just a moment longer, mind racing with thoughts about what lay behind it. Outside, the wind howled, rattling the windows as if to warn me off. Just open it, I thought, what's the worst that could happen? But then again, what could happen if I didn't? The thrill of discovery clashed violently against the impulse to retreat. I was on the edge of something dangerous. With a shaking hand, I twisted the knob. It was unusually stiff, resisting my attempts. And then, like an unseen force unleashed, it swung open with a creak that echoed like a scream through the silence. My heart slammed in my chest, and I peered inside. The room was dimly lit, shadows cast long across the walls. It was cluttered with boxes, furniture draped in dusty sheets, untouched for years. But it was what lay in the corner that made bile rise in my throat. A child's doll, seated on a small chair, its porcelain face cracked, eyes wide and unblinking. Suddenly, a chill rushed through me. Why was this doll here? It didn't belong to me. I had never seen it before. I took another step forward, my breath quickening. That's when I heard it, a soft giggle, innocent yet haunting. It sent icy fingers crawling along my skin. Was I losing my mind? Or was there something alive in this house that shouldn't be? The laughter grew, rising until it filled the room, echoing off the walls, teasing me with a twisted serenade. I stumbled back, but then the doors slammed shut behind me, trapping me in the gloom. A muffled voice whispered my name, a sound that felt both familiar and foreign. It urged me closer, a siren call pulling me toward that doll. Was it a trick of the mind or an invitation to something darker? I could feel a presence, enveloping me, wrapping around my consciousness, wanting me to stay. As the laughter grew louder, I thought of the shadows that lingered and the things that hide in the night. I was about to discover the truth, but would I be brave enough to face what was waiting for me when I finally looked? The darkness pressed closer, and I could almost feel its breath on my neck. What lay hidden behind that doll? And would I survive long enough to find the answers? The darkness was a living thing, suffocating and thrumming with energy. I pressed my back against the cold wall, breath caught in my throat. The laughter twisted around me, playful yet sinister, and my instincts screamed to flee. But my feet felt powerless, as if snagged by invisible strings. That I glanced at the doll again. Its glassy eyes seemed to follow me, glinting in the sparse light, and a wave of nausea rolled through me. Who had placed it here? What had it seen? I was about to turn, to run back to the safety of the hallway, when the laughter transformed into a shrill giggle, sharp, almost mocking. Come play. The voice seemed to flutter from the doll's cracked lips, a taunting invitation that sent ice racing through my veins. Shivers crept up my spine. This was no joke. Something felt deeply wrong. That I fought against the weight of dread pressing down on me. The eerie giggle recessive, mixing with the groans of the house. Fear and curiosity intertwined in a deadly dance, and I felt them battling for dominance within me. Trembling, I reached out a tentative hand toward the doll. My fingertips hovered, just inches from that porcelain face. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed from behind me. I spun around, heart hammering, but the darkness remained still, deathly quiet. I turned back to the doll, both fascinated and horrified. Who was playing tricks on me? Was this just my imagination spiraling wildly out of control? I took a shaky breath. My courage wavered, but the whisper of my name beckoned, coaxing, seductive. It was as if the doll held secrets, ancient and dark, secrets that linked me to this place. Please, it said softly now, voice dripping sweetness. Don't you want to know? The urge to turn and flee was nearly overpowering. Yet, beneath that fear, an insatiable curiosity surged. I edged closer again. The room seemed to shift, shadows swaying wildly as if breathing with life. That's when it happened. The door behind me burst open, rattling on its hinges, and I gasped as a cold breeze swept in, snatching the warmth from my skin. I spun around, heart racing, but the hallway was empty. It hadn't just opened, it had flung itself open, as if demanding I leave. I returned my gaze to the doll, caught in a standoff with my own mind. "Do you want to stay?" It whispered, and for a fleeting moment, I imagined myself living here, trapped in its world of shadows and secrets. All pain would dissolve, replaced by an enticing, terrifying enchantment. In that moment, a flicker of movement caught my eye. Another shadow. This one more defined, darting across the room, vanishing beyond the dresser. My pulse quickened, igniting my fight-or-flight instinct. "Who is there?" I shouted, voice trembling, echoing loudly in the silence. The doll laughed again, but this time it was joined by another giggle, a tired, weary sound that wrapped around me like a shroud. "Join us," the doll urged, and I felt a strange pull, drawing me into the center of the room. The shadows thickened, dark tendrils reaching out as if beckoning me to step into their embrace. Was I losing myself to this forsaken place? I should turn and run, but that seductive force tugged harder, whispering promises of belonging, of understanding. Just as I took a step closer, a cold hand shot out from the darkness, grabbing my wrist with an iron grip. "We are waiting," it rasped, and I was suddenly struck by a gut-wrenching realization: there was no escaping. This house had kept its secrets for too long, and now it wanted me to be part of its dark tapestry. What did it mean to belong here? What were the others that waited in the shadows? I gasped, panic seizing me, struggling as the pressure mounted. I needed to see the truth behind the laughter. The room began to spin around me as I was pulled deeper into the darkness, and just then, something shifted once again, sending my mind reeling. Would I finally unravel the mystery hidden in these walls? Or would I be consumed by the very shadows I'd feared? The grip on my wrist tightened as I struggled to break free. Panic surged through me, each heartbeat echoing in my ears like a war drum. I was ensnared, caught between the laughter and the encroaching shadows. "Let me go!" I screamed, but the words felt futile as they slipped into the void that surrounded me. I felt warmth leaving my body, replaced by the icy tendrils that began to creep up my arm, wrapping around my mind. The shadows whispered their secrets, their voices blending into a chaotic symphony that clawed at my sanity. "Stay," the cold hand commanded, and I felt a wave of despair wash over me. In that moment of desperation, I kicked temporarily into fight mode, pulling back with all my strength, and for a fleeting second, I broke free. I stumbled back against the wall, gasping for breath, heart racing like a trapped bird. But the doll's gaze held me captive. Its glassy eyes shimmered with a knowing depth, and I sensed a history woven into its porcelain skin. Suddenly, whispers trailed from the corners of the room, echoing tales of torment and yearning. A chill vibrated through the atmosphere as if the house itself were breathing. "Don't leave, we've waited so long," a soft, childlike voice implored. It wrapped around my mind, suffocating my thoughts like a thick fog. I glanced over my shoulder, but the darkness had given life to more shadows, flickering and darting with a mind of their own. Each motion left a trail of unease hanging in the air. My mind screamed caution, but curiosity battled to overpower it. There could be answers here. It couldn't all be malevolent. With shaky legs, I stepped away from the wall and edged toward the doll, unable to resist its allure. "What do you want from me?" I whispered, my fear mixing with a strange sense of inevitability. "Understanding." The doll's cracked lips curled into a smirk, and I could almost feel the warmth of a hidden promise. "We are bound to this place, just like you. We can share what we know if only you are willing to stay." A shiver raced down my spine as regret settled in my chest. The shadows flickered again, taking form, revealing faces worn and twisted, their eyes hollow yet full of despair. They were like forgotten memories, tied to this wretched abode. All around me, shadows writhed in a macabre dance, swirling like wisps of smoke. My heart raced as I recognized pained expressions. These were souls trapped within the confines of sorrow. "Join us," they echoed in unison, their voices blending, becoming a haunting lullaby. I squinted into the darkness, and a sudden realization hit me like a punch to the gut. I wasn't just a visitor here, I was a potential inhabitant. I staggered back, colliding with the dresser, the wood scraping against my skin, grounding me even as the doll's voice grew louder. All you have to do is let go of your fear. Embrace what's waiting for you. But in that moment, I was also aware of another presence lurking behind me, the cold hand that had gripped me with intent. I could sense it drawing nearer, its intentions cloaked in a veil of darkness. The realization churned in my stomach, they craved companionship in their madness. Please. I cried, desperation creeping into my voice. I don't want to, I can't, then you will never know, the shadows shrieked, and suddenly, everything crashed into darkness. The laughter intensified, drowning out my thoughts. I was enveloped in a whirlpool of despair, slamming against the walls of my mind, struggling for clarity amidst the chaos. And then, the laughter stopped. A suffocating silence hung in the air, palpable and heavy, as if the house held its breath, waiting for me to make a choice. What would I uncover if I chose to stay? What secrets lay entwined with the shadows and that doll? Could I fight my way back, or had I become just another story to haunt this wretched place? The oppressive silence wrapped around me like a noose, tightening with each second that passed. I blinked, straining against the darkness, my pulse thundering in my ears. Had the shadows retracted their grip, or was this beckoning stillness a cruel tactic to draw me deeper into their realm? My breath came in quick, shallow gasps, fighting to embrace the instinct to flee. Stay, the voice lingered in the air, soft yet sinister, threading through the stillness like a serpent. I could taste its malicious intent. The doll's gaze bore into me, its glassy eyes glimmering, a predator waiting for me to make the next move. Why, I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper, each word heavy with unearned trust. Why do you want me? A shiver cascaded down my spine. I could feel the weight of the shadows around me, pressing in like they wanted to smother me. Because, dear one, only you can listen, the doll's voice cooed, its tone almost affectionate. We have stories to tell, stories no one has heard for so very long. Suddenly, the shadows seemed to swell, crawling ever closer, and I could hear the rustling of fabric, like the sound of many figures shifting just beyond reach. A list of names echoed in the silence, names alive with sorrow, betrayal, lost dreams. Let us show you, they crooned, an eerie chorus that danced between a lullaby and a death knell. No. Panic surged again. I clamped my hands over my ears, hoping to drown them out, but their voices only seemed to grow louder, burrowing deeper into my mind. Get away from me! I screamed, feeling a sudden surge of rage that it was as if that single expression of protest carved a fissure in the dark, revealing flickers of light, tiny cracks of hope shimmering against the oppressive gloom. I could feel the energy shift, the shadows recoiling as I took a step forward, determined to confront the horrors that dared to keep me captive. I want nothing to do with you, I declared, my voice steadying amidst the chaos threatening to swallow me whole. The doll didn't blink, didn't falter. Instead, its smile widened, revealing a sinister toothy grin. Are you sure about that? You've already begun weaving into us. You can't escape your story, just as we cannot escape ours. I hesitated. Was I really trapped here? The thought curled inside me, coiling like a snake. The idea that every piece of my existence could become enmeshed with these tortured souls ignited a new kind of terror. I glanced around, searching for an exit, for any tangible sign of escape amidst the swirling madness. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught movement. A shadow, quicker than the rest, the shape of a child. I turned sharply, heart slamming in my chest, but all that greeted me was the same all-consuming darkness. Whispered childhood giggles danced across my skin, sending chills racing down my arms. Don't be afraid, they called, though their tones dripped with treachery. We just want to play. I echoed, disbelief mingling with dread. When I didn't answer, panic surged, and I dashed to the wall, searching for anything in escape, a crack to wrench open. But the house began to shift, the walls warping, leaving me disoriented and trapped as the shadows converged. Join us, they urged again, their voices now a pitiful lament, tinged with desperation. We are all that remains of forgotten dreams. My stomach dropped at their revelation. All at once, clarity struck as I understood, this place was not merely haunted, it was a resting ground for broken spirits, each yearning to share their burden, aching to be freed from an enduring limbo. But did they want freedom for themselves, or was it merely to trap me in their everlasting night? The urgency clawed at me, pulling me closer to their lure, and I felt time beginning to slip away. Please, I croaked, terrified at what I might willingly give in to. What do you really want? And as I spoke, the laughter erupted again, echoing through the walls, and in that moment, the doll screamed, "Only you can release the truth." In a flash, the shadows surged forward, and the chilling realization hit me. I was standing at the precipice of uncovering something monumental, a secret that threatened to consume not just me, but every soul tethered here. What truth awaited me in the depths of this haunting? As the darkness pressed in with shocking force, I braced myself, trembling had I gone too far to turn back now. The shadows lunged, a tidal wave of darkness ready to swallow me whole. I braced myself against the wall, my skin crawling as cold fingers of shadow wrapped around my wrists. I could feel their desperation, an ache that echoed in my own heart. "Let us show you your story," the doll's voice pierced the air like a knife. It dripped with an enticing sweetness that turned sour on my tongue, forcing me to confront the fear welling up inside me. A blinding light erupted from the center of the gloom, momentarily pushing back the shadows. My breath hitched as I squinted, straining to see what lay hidden in the radiant glow that now illuminated fragments of this cursed place. It was a scene of despair, images played out before me, like a macabre movie flickering to life. I saw a child, no older than 10, hiding beneath a bed, tears streaming down her face. The darkness swirled around her, whispering promises of safety. "Come play with us," they beckoned, and I felt her heart break as she turned away, too afraid to step into their waiting arms. As quickly as the vision came, it faded, replaced by another, a young woman standing in front of a cracked mirror, desperate to see the reflection she once knew. The whispers surrounded her too, growing louder, more intoxicating. "Stay, you'll never be alone again." I clenched my fists, knowing I was witnessing the birth of more haunted souls. "Why are you showing me this?" I cried out, but the shadows only intensified, feeding on my confusion and fear. Their laughter turned to howls, a cacophony that echoed round the room, squeezing my heart with icy fingers. "Because, dear one," the dolls sang, "you're one of us now." My heart lurched at the realization. Suddenly, it became clear I had stepped into a trap, a fate that wasn't just entwining me with their past but marking me for a future of endless suffering. But somehow, deep down, I felt a flicker of rebellion. These souls hadn't loomed into this existence willingly. They had been ensnared by forces far darker than I had yet to realize. How do I break this cycle? I shouted, my voice raw, grounding me in my resolve. The shadows paused, their chill retreating just slightly before they swirled around me, forming shapes of anguish. "To free yourself, you must remember." The doll's grin tightened, revealing more teeth than should have been allowable in a porcelain face. "Can you handle the truth? Let me see it," I demanded, desperation fueling my courage. The fabric of reality twisted again, and suddenly, before me unfolded a glimpse of a past I never knew, betrayal, sacrifice, a bond of love ripped apart by greed. I was watching a family torn to shreds by jealousy, the horrifying reality that every shadow I saw represented those who had lost their battles. Their screams merged into a siren song, echoing my own thoughts. They were all calling, "Release us." Tears stung my eyes as the truth washed over me. The weight of a burden too great pressed down, and I struggled against its gravity. My mind raced. The only way to free these souls and myself was to confront the dark forces that held power over them and me, but that meant sacrificing something precious, perhaps even my own light. Before I could silence my doubts, the doll gripped my gaze, its eyes alight with an unsettling urgency. "What will you choose?" it hissed. The walls began to tremble, dust swirling, a storm brewing on the brink of chaos. That question pierced through the din around me, cutting deeper than all the shadows combined. Should I risk everything to save them, knowing it might consume me in return? Nothing felt certain anymore as light and dark waged war around us. And just like that, the vision dissolved yet again, darkness crushing down, leaving me grasping at straws. I could feel the anticipation crackling in the air, the unsettling sense that the next choice I made would shape the fate of everyone trapped in this nightmare. I inhaled sharply, heart racing. A choice lay before me. Would I follow the path of shadows or strive to break free into whatever light remained? As the chilling whispers echoed my name, one thing became clear: the end was but the beginning. A choice for redemption lay in wait. Would I dare take it? But the lurking question echoed like a haunting refrain in my mind: what price would I ultimately pay to become their savior, and was salvation truly within my reach? The air thickened, drowning me in an unsettling silence. The shadows tightened their grip, pulling me deeper into an abyss that felt all too familiar. My heart raced wildly as I desperately searched for an escape, but there seemed to be nowhere to run. The walls of this haunted space felt as though they were closing in, matching the rising panic that clawed at my throat. A low whisper slithered through the darkness, sending chills crawling down my spine. "Choose wisely," it echoed, carrying a weight that pressed against my chest like an anchor. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to block out the swirling chaos around me. Closing off the world felt powerful, but beneath the panic, something else stirred: a nagging realization that I had to face the truth. Slowly, I opened my eyes, the dim glow of light revealing a new scene. Before me stood the shattered remnants of a family portrait. Half-faded smiles hung in a crooked frame, life trapped in stillness, while shadows danced playfully along its edges, distorting the once happy faces. I stepped closer, memories of laughter mingling with those whispers, and I could almost hear the echoes of love that had turned bitter with time. "Why do I see this?" I murmured, my voice trembling. The doll's laughter rang out, almost melodic against the backdrop of despair. "Because, dear child, every shadow has a story, and you are part of theirs now." I felt like I was teetering on the edge of a cliff, the abyss beckoning me to jump. "No. I want to be part of this," I yelled, anger punctuating my fear. The shadows swayed, uncertain, and for a fleeting moment, the cries of the lost stuttered. Just as quickly, their tormented sighs surged back, and I clenched my fists, a reckless determination rising. "Let me take on your pain. I will bear it if it means giving you a chance," I cried out, the declaration hanging heavily in the air. The shadows froze, and unexpected stillness engulfed us. Had I really said that? The realization chilled me to the core, but a part of me clung to hope, believing in the power of sacrifice. "Are you prepared to suffer for their freedom?" the doll asked, a twisted glee dancing in its ceramic gaze. As it spoke, I felt a flicker of light within me push back the encroaching darkness. There was a strength there, one born from empathy and courage. Suddenly, the images surged around me once more. I was engulfed in scenes of heartbreak, loss, and betrayal, the essence of every tormented spirit filling my chest like a heavy weight. I was their vessel, their voice crying out for mercy, echoing through the trapped dimensions of this ghostly limbo. "Tell me your stories," I urged, tears streaming down my cheeks. Memories crashed over me, thick as fog, and I saw their faces: lost parents, abandoned children, all crying out to be saved. With each tale, each thread woven into my soul, my will surged, the shadows writhed, angry yet desperate. "You cannot change what has already happened," they screamed, but with every word, the tight knot of anguish slackened, revealing cracks in their torment. "Maybe not, but I can set you free," I shouted back, igniting a fire of defiance within. The power surged through me, growing stronger as their cries harmonized with mine, creating a cacophony that made the ground rumble beneath us. Then, everything spiraled, a violent whirlpool of emotion. Light clashed with darkness, echoing loudly in my ears, drowning out the whispers but revealing a path behind the chaos. The way out shimmered and beckoned, a thread of possibility woven through a tapestry of despair. "This is it," I thought, breathless, but just as I took a step forward, a chilling grasp ensnared my ankle, pulling me down into the depth of shadows. The doll's voice echoed above me, "The choice isn't just yours, dear heart. Can you survive the consequences? I felt myself slipping into the chasm, darkness clawing at my senses, and panic surged anew. My outstretched hand fought to grab hold of anything, to cling to the hope I felt for those haunted souls. Each heartbeat thundered within me as I faced the truth I had to embrace the darkness to save them. Would I lose myself in the chaos, or could I become the very light that shined upon their twisted fates? The stakes were high, and I knew only one choice could lead to redemption, and then, just as the last glimmer of hope flickered, the shadows whispered my name again. What are you willing to sacrifice, dear one? Will you follow? As I fought against the dark, the answer felt dangerously close, yet so far away. The grip of darkness tightened around me, a constricting coil that threatened to choke out my last breath. I could feel the cold seep into my bones, chilling every thought like a cruel winter wind. Panic faded into focused resolve as I yanked against the grasp that held me, every muscle screaming in protest. What are you willing to sacrifice? The doll's words echoed, each syllable entwined in my mind. The faces of the lost flashed before me, haunted eyes pleading for release, a tangled web of sorrow pulling me deeper. I wouldn't abandon them. I couldn't. But what would it cost me? A surge of heat ignited in my chest, pulsing with determination. I'll do whatever it takes. I shouted into the consuming void, voice resolute against the crushing silence. But the shadows recoiled, twisting and swirling as if organizing a counterattack. The whispers grew louder, a tempest of voices swirling around me. What if you become one of us? What if you're never able to leave this place again? Nausea rolled in my gut, and for a moment doubt crept in. What if they were right? I needed clarity. My heart raced as I grasped the threads of their stories, a desperate pull to weave their fates through mine. Show me. I cried, desperate for insight. What do I need to understand? The air shifted, darkened, and then exploded with color. Images burst forth like a kaleidoscope, shadows sharpened into scenes of the past that revolved within my mind. I saw them, a mother searching for her lost child, a father with hollow eyes, regret etched across his weathered face, and children, young and filled with a fear that twisted their innocence. What happened to you? I whispered, heart clenching at their agony. Their stories began to unravel as shadows took shape, each tale laced with heartbreak and violence. I was immersed in their reality, the desperation of each spirit clawed at me, resonating painfully deep. As images bled into each other, I felt the weight of their losses. I can help. Just tell me how. A cold surge of laughter echoed, rippling through the air, freezing everything in its path. Help? The doll taunted. You are not their savior. You are only a mere reflection of their pain and suffering. Shut up. I shouted, pushing back against the swirl of despair. I will not be a reflection. I will be their voice. In that moment of defiance, a shift occurred. The shadows swayed, caught off guard by my resolve. For every tear I shed, a flicker of light burst from my core, a flicker that ignited the darkness around me. I felt the spirits coalescing, pooling their energy into something magnificent yet terrifying. Embrace us. They cried, their voices now a symphony of sorrow and hope. I nodded, heart pounding, letting the energy envelop me, and then it happened. Everything glowed bright, each spirit's pain funneling through my veins, knitting their stories into my own. I felt their anguish, their rage, their love. It was all consuming, and with it came the realization, the insistence that we were bound together. But then, one voice screamed above the rest. You will pay a price. Your soul may not survive. Fear coursed through me, cold and tangible. I had become the vessel they were merging with me. The shadows tightened their grip as I fought to stay rooted, to find balance amidst chaos. I wanted to save them, but would their pain be my undoing? Just when I thought I would implode from the weight of their collective sorrow, light burst forth from the cracks of despair, illuminating my surroundings. In that brilliance, I caught a glimpse of what lay beyond the shadows, a vast realm of both promise and peril. The question lingered in the air. Was I ready to plunge into the unknown on behalf of others? Then the whispers swelled again. Make your choice, dear soul, or be lost forever. My heart thundered, drowning out every hesitation. It was now or never. Would I be enough to break the chains of anguish binding them, or would I be swallowed whole by the very darkness I sought to redeem? The shadows roared. The choice lay before me, pulsing and alive with possibility. Waiting for my decree. In the heartbeat that followed, my resolve solidified. I closed my eyes, drawing a deep breath as the warmth of the light enveloped me. I felt the spirit's surge, desperation mingling with hope, pain twisting into power. My voice broke free, strong and clear. I choose to break the chains. The shadows screamed, a cacophony of rage that vibrated through my very being. The moment the words left my lips, the bright light intensified, tearing apart the fabric of darkness that surrounded me. Colors burst around, swirling with a ferocity I had never felt, and in the storm, I saw them, the faces of the lost. Their eyes glimmered with a mix of sorrow and relief. I grasped their stories, intertwining my soul with theirs, feeling every heartbeat, every sigh. A single thread of connection vibrated with energy. Suddenly, the dolls, smirking and hollow-eyed, were appearing within the chaos. They were all around me, their mocking laughter mingling with the spirit's cries. You think you can save them? You will join their ranks, just one shade among many. I clenched my fists, ignoring the visceral chill creeping up my spine. No. I will not be just a shade. I will harness this. I was aware of the cost, the battle waging between my fading light and the engulfing shadows. The ground beneath me quaked as the spirits surged forth, bold now, extending their hands, weaving their individual pains into a collective force. The heat radiated from me as I allowed their energy to merge with mine, channeling their stories into something fierce and powerful, a beacon against the encroaching night. Then, the swirling shadows morphed into shapes, grotesque and deformed. They clawed at me, fingers like hooks digging into my flesh. You're foolish. They hissed. This is not your fight. But I wouldn't back down. With every ounce of defiance, I pushed against them. You are wrong. I want to let you take them. The air crackled with electricity as I shouted, release them. In that moment, I felt it, a shift in energy as the spirits united with me transformed the space. My heart raced as I looked into the darkness, searching for the source of the whispers. They taunted me from the edges, shrill and haunting. I felt their cold grasp, ever present, waiting for me to falter, and then I saw it, a flicker of movement, a taller shadow lurking at the back, heavier and more sinister than the rest. It awaited, patiently, and then it stepped forward, revealing its face, obscured but no less threatening. A voice that froze my blood bubbled forth. You were never meant to break us. You're too weak. Your light is fading. I took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the spirits guiding me. I imagined their stories, each one vibrant, filled with emotion, and I recalled why I started this fight. Every soul has its worth. I yelled against the darkness, mustering every fiber of my being. That in response, the shadow laughed, a chilling sound that admonished hope. Despair is the only truth. You think you can win. But I pressed on. I won't just survive. I will rise. I reached for the light within me, lighting the connection with every life, each loss, and every regret shared. The shadows roared, but I stood my ground, the pressure building like a thunderstorm about to unleash. Then, I felt it, a crack. A fracture in the dark. I had breached the wall of despair, but just as I summoned every ounce of energy for a final push, the tall shadow lunged forward, twining dark tendrils around my throat. The cold clamped down, pulling me back. You're too late. A rush of terror threatened to consume me. I couldn't let them pull me under. I had to fight. I had to push back against the impending night. Desperately, I gathered strength. Would this be the moment I finally succumbed, or could I wield the light enough to sever the darkness? Just then, a piercing cry echoed through the chaos. A voice that was familiar and painful, a name I knew but never wanted to hear in this context. Help me. The world fell still as all eyes turned towards the source of that anguished wail. Who had called out? Who was in danger? With one last glance at the encroaching darkness, I inhaled deeply, ready to plunge again into the abyss, determined to save both myself and the stranded soul calling from deep within the shadows. But would I manage to grasp onto the light before it faded forever? I plunged into the dark, heart pounding, a mix of dread and determination pushing me forward. The call echoed again, piercing through the veil of shadows. Help me. It was a plea that sparked something deep inside me. I felt connected to it, that voice reaching out beckoned me like a lifeline that I forced myself to look deeper into the darkness, past the twisted silhouettes of despair. I felt the pressing weight of the shadows around me, but something ignited in my chest, a flicker of hope challenging the threatening void. Who are you? I shouted, my voice wavering but resolute. What do you need? I am the first, the voice replied, softer now. There was a gentleness beneath the panic, like a forgotten song trying to break through the chaos. I was lost long ago, trapped by my mistakes. Help me remember. Only then can we both be free. I felt the shadows waver at her words, their grip loosening just enough for me to breathe. She was a tether, a connection to the truth wrapped in sorrow and pain. Then let us uncover the truth together. I called out, drawing strength from her presence, the energy surged with renewed vigor. I imagined every story I had woven with the spirits around me, each life lost to sorrow, each thread of darkness pulling us down. I pushed my thoughts toward that voice, feeding it back my determination. I'll help you remember. We can face this together. Together, the voice echoed in unison, resonating with the spirits now united beside me. Suddenly, the shadows shrieked, a cacophony that erupted around us as their hold on reality began to dissolve. The doll-esque laughter faded, replaced by the groans of the empty house resonating with chaotic energy. As the grip of despair weakened, memories began to surface, swirling like dust in a beam of light, fragments of her story unfolding before me. A young girl hiding beneath a bed, fear etched in her features, clutching a tattered teddy bear. I saw her parents fighting, voices like thunder, unrelenting, until she was lost in a storm of chaos. And then she was there, the first. I could see her clearly amidst the swirling shadows, her scared eyes meeting mine, and I felt the pain of her anguish pulling at my heart. You were never alone. You just forgot how to find the light, I whispered, reaching out. Remember who you are. With that, the shadows trembled violently, shrieking as they started to separate, revealing others lost in their obsidian depths. Faces morphed from pain to recognition. Hope intertwined with sorrow, creating a wave of stories, a chorus of lost souls uniting with one aim to break free. The energy surged within me, surging until I felt as if I could burst with its brilliance. Bracing myself, I channeled it all into a single proclamation: we are not just shadows. We are echoes of life. We deserve to be free. Everyone, listen to your story. The weight of history swept through the room, enveloping us like a tidal wave. I was ready to fight against the remnants of the unnatural force that had held us captive for so long. Hear our voices. I screamed, determination rising with every spirit as we merged into one single, radiant being, powerful yet trembling. In a blink, the shadows rushed back, howling in rage, desperate to reclaim what they thought was theirs. But we stood united, not as victims but as fighters, fierce and unshakable. Let us go. We cried. We will be heard. With that declaration, light exploded around us, banishing the darkness that had held sway for so long. Every story burst forth, a melody of grief met with resolve, each life untangled, empowered through the truth. I felt warmth wash over me, and the once ominous walls of the house began to dissolve, revealing the light piercing through the cracks. As the last echoes of the shadows faded into nothingness, the world transformed around us. I could feel the weight lifting, warmth creeping over the remnants of sorrow. The first stepped forward, now shimmering, no longer a prisoner to despair but free. Thank you, she whispered, gratitude flowing like sunshine around us. In that moment, I understood the cost of salvation. Every step taken, every story shared brought healing, not just to the lost spirits but to me, too. Now, standing in the light, I took a deep breath. It was over. The shadows had been banished. The house felt lighter, the air filled with memories finally released. The dawn broke, a glittering promise of tomorrow dawned before me. Together, we had forged a path away from the shadows, stepping into the life once again forged by hope, and in that light, I whispered my own silent goodbye to the darkness, a promise of resilience. So, adventure seeker, don't let this moment slip. You need to subscribe now, or risk missing the next stories that promise thrill and excitement. Smash the like button now. Feed the algorithm to ensure these stories soar. Flood the comment section with your thoughts, your reactions, your theories. This community thrives on your passion. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who crave a chill down their spine. Let us spread the word and keep the thrill alive.